Welcome to ND Admissions Live. Tonight we're focused on the College of Engineering. I'd like to welcome you. My name is Kerry Meyers. I'm a faculty member in the College of Engineering and also the director of first year engineering. So happy to talk with you and answer as many questions as we can in our time here. I'm fortunate to have two great students with me tonight, and Adriana and Eddie are going to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name's Adriana. I'm a junior chemical engineering major living in McGlynn Hall, and I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, hi, my name's Eddie. I'm also a junior. I'm a mechanical engineering major from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and I live in Dunhall.
Thank you both. Feel free to put any questions you have in the chat. We have a team behind us that are also going to be answering questions in addition to the ones that we're able to answer live here. I have just a couple of slides to give you some background on what engineering looks like at the University of Notre Dame. So first of all, the model and the philosophy is really about allowing students the entire first year to discern their major. That means coming in, you can know what you want to study or not know what you want to study, and you're just fine either way. So we want that entire time. You don't actually declare your engineering major until the end of your first year, and there's no limitations on the number of students in a given department. It's all based on your interest. You get to choose what department you want to go into. So you would have a mix of both technical and non-technical courses. And in the first year, our engineering courses, the sequence in the fall is focused on design and specifically doing an iterative design project where you get to work with some of your class peers on a design and test it and improve that design. And then in the spring semester, we are focused on computing and computer programming. And we don't have any expectations that you already know how to computer program, but if you happen to have some skills, that's great too. The other things I just wanted to mention was a little bit about what our different department sizes are and what's available to you. Mechanical engineering and aerospace engineering, common pathways for students, as well as computer science, computer engineering, chemical engineering. You can see the percentage breakdowns here for each of the departments. Civil and environmental engineering, electrical engineering. So you can see the percentage breakdowns, but you would have your full choice of which department you wanted to go into. About 38 to 40% of our incoming class and our overall College of Engineering are women engineering students. And each year we have about 450 or 500 engineering students. And the fantastic thing about that is most of them continue on in engineering, although a very high percentage of them will switch from one field of engineering to another. So with that, I want to transition to Adriana and Eddie, who are going to tell you about their process. So the first question we want to lead off with is, how did you end up in your engineering majors? So what was your process that you went through in selecting?
Yeah, I guess I could start on that. Initially I came in thinking I'd be aerospace engineering, and to a lot of students, that seems like a great choice, right? You look at it and you say, okay, this is very interesting. It's awesome. It's something that you want to learn more about. It seems very complex and something you want to learn, break down, work hard to understand. And so initially I came in, I declared that my freshman year, and actually getting deeper into my mechanical engineering courses, which is the base of aerospace engineering, I realized that there's a lot more going on with every other thing you do that I couldn't necessarily rule out working in any other sort of industries or going into other courses. And so I decided to actually switch mechanical engineering actually at the end of my sophomore year, which is a little bit abnormal, but it's possible with those two majors. And it's a choice I really enjoyed. I don't regret because I've taken some awesome electives, and those have been pretty much the highlights of my college so far.
Yeah, so I actually came in chemical engineering and pre-med, which is an option if anybody is interested in that. But as I kind of got into my course load, I decided I really liked the engineering aspects of my courses and the things that I could do with the engineering aspects of my courses and the fields I could go into and the jobs that I could do. And so I decided to stick with chemical engineering and drop the pre-med route, which I don't regret at all. I've had awesome experiences using my engineering major in internships and stuff that I definitely am glad I sticked with engineering.
We're glad you did too. So that's fantastic. Next question is really about AP credit. And so just for everyone's knowledge on this, AP credit we use for placement for math and science. So if you have AP credit, it requires a 5 on the AP exam, but then we would use that to place you into the right math and physics and chemistry courses. We don't accept AP credits for the other arts and letters courses. So I don't know, how did this translate for you guys personally?
Do you want to start with those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can start with that. So, I mean, when you look at there's a number of students. I mean, anybody who comes here, you range from having no AP credits getting out of courses versus up to even 5. I think it is max. And so I was one of the students. I was fortunate enough. I got out of 5 courses that sort of they didn't give me they fulfilled those requirements, but which is very useful because looking down the road is my senior year will be a lighter course load, which gives me the opportunity to sort of explore minors, concentrations, or if I want, I can take a lighter load, work more. It just gives you a lot more freedom down the road, but it does give you a harder semester, harder year, freshman, sophomore year, which I definitely felt. So, there's pros and there's cons, but end of the day, don't worry about it because some or nothing, it's still a great place.
Yeah, I didn't have as many as Eddie, which is why I asked you to start. But I had a couple of AP credits coming in. And honestly, I don't think they impacted me in a great way. I still have enough room in my schedule to do a minor and a concentration and all of the fun things you want to do without having boatloads of credit coming in. So that was totally fine for me. I skipped some classes. I didn't have to take physics, which was great for me. But overall, I definitely think AP credit is good if you have it, but not detrimental if you don't.
Yeah, I will tell you, years and years ago when I started in engineering, I had no AP credit and still finished in 4 years. Our curriculum is designed for students to finish in 4 years, a bachelor's degree. So there's a question about biomedical engineering and also like biomedical minors. So we'll just explain a little bit. The core engineering majors are aerospace and mechanical engineering, civil and environmental engineering, electrical engineering, computer science and engineering. What am I forgetting?
Chemical engineering.
Chemical engineering, yes, chemical engineering. And so if you're interested in biomedical, you would go down one of a few different paths depending on your interests. So doing something biomedical, you can get at it from a mechanical perspective or an electrical perspective. If you're interested in prosthetics or something like that, there's also a chemical perspective where if you're interested in looking more at like a cellular or molecular level, targeted drug delivery and that sort of thing. So does this feed into your research at all? Would you say anything?
It feeds into my research and my concentration. I'm doing the biomolecular concentration. So a lot of the chemical engineering classes that I take are focused on biomolecular concepts. So I'm learning transport, for example, and all of our examples are in the human body, which is super cool to learn how these concepts and chemical engineering concepts apply in the human body. So that's one aspect. And then my research mainly focuses on diabetes therapies, the research lab that I'm in. And so that's kind of also how I am involved in that aspect of the field.
Okay, fantastic. There's questions about internships. So there are kind of 2 approaches here. So Adriana, if you could start with your experience and then we'll talk about job fairs and pathways there.
Yeah, definitely. So similar in the biomolecular field, my internship this past summer, so after my sophomore year, was in the pharmaceuticals industry. And so I worked in vaccine manufacturing. And that was a really awesome experience. I learned a lot and I used a lot of my chemical engineering knowledge that I already had background in. And so I was kind of able to apply a lot of the concepts that I had learned. But I also had only done sophomore year, so I didn't really know that much, but I learned a lot on the job, and anything that I needed to know was taught to me, and I got a lot of great experience. I got to see how millions of doses of vaccines are made every day and what goes into that and what kind of calculations and engineering concepts are used to make those vaccines. So that was really cool. I got a lot of great hands-on experience, and I'm going back next summer, so I definitely enjoyed it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so for the students who, you don't come into college and internship, you got to get one somehow. The Career Center offers career fairs both semesters. So actually the one for the spring semester is going on right now. Well, actually it might just finished up. But so they hold an all schools career fair that was tonight. But also last night they had an engineering career fair, which was only the engineering companies, which was a great experience because it's less crowded with, a bunch of arts letters, college of business, and college science majors, and it's just their engineering companies who are there for you. And even though it's a lot less people there, there's still just as many tables, and it's tons of people to talk to, and you get all the information ahead of time. We got something called Handshake. If you go on there, they have it's basically has every single piece of information about those companies that you need. to go up, talk to them about internship programs and get into it. So I was there last night. I didn't go tonight, but it's a lot of people, but it's definitely worth their time. And the school does a great job with engineering industry days.
Yeah, and I'll just add, so those Career Center opportunities, have you been to these to get resume reviews or help writing cover letters, like part of your student
Mock
experience?
interviews, yes. Yeah, definitely. The career fair and through like different Notre Dame connections is how I got my internship. But through the process, I went to a lot of resume reviews from multiple different people and a lot of mock interviews, just trying to figure out, how do I interview? What should I say? What shouldn't I say? And the Notre Dame Career Center helps a lot with that. And I definitely utilized them a lot.
Yeah, to add on to that, I took a 1-credit course with Dr. Meyers in the spring of my sophomore year when I was still an aerospace major. It was for the mechanical engineering students. It was all about just basically all the industries you can go into as a mechanical engineer. But we also had to do 3 mock interviews with alumni. We also did resume reviews with staff from the Career Center. So it was it was a full career choices and mechanical engineering course that it really just threw me right in. I knew exactly what I was doing in interviews. I had my resume prepped and prepared. I didn't have to do all that work this semester or last year. It was all done on my own time when it wasn't forced, or it wasn't crunch time, right? Yeah. So, you actually get a good product out because you're not in crunch time and you actually have some iterations of it and make it better and better. So, besides Career Center, there's also offerings like this where they utilize the Career Center, but it's a lot more than just sort of just talking to people you don't know and them saying, "Oh, your resume is good." Like,
thanks for that plug.
They make you work hard and you make it well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that plug. That's perfect. There's some questions about business and how you can get involved with business. And there's a couple different ways. The easiest way to do it is to take a couple of courses, integrated engineering and business courses that we offer in the College of Engineering, led by faculty members that spent a career in industry and then now lead these courses. And then on up, there are, you can get a minor in corporate practice, which Adriana will speak about in a minute. And then there is also a 5-year MBA with engineering program. Not a lot of students go that route, but it is an option. So the more common route is to do the engineering corporate practice minor. So would you say a few words about that?
Yeah, definitely. So last semester I took the first course in the minor, which is the first integrated engineering business course. And I wish I had taken it before my internship, because the skills that you learn in that class are so applicable to use in industry as an engineer going into industry. And you learn a lot of business things. You learn about finance and accounting, basic skills and things of that nature. But you also learn how a corporate company works and how engineers play into the role of a corporate company. And it's run by, like Dr. Meyers said, 2 faculty members who spent 30 plus years in industry and have loads of knowledge on how the industry works and what it's like to be an engineer in industry. And so it does a really good job of tying business to engineering and how those two meet in the industry. And then as another part of the minor, you take those classes, and then you also take accounting and finance and either micro or macroeconomics.
Perfect. There were questions about minors. So Eddie, you have a different minor, one that is outside of the College of Engineering. So maybe you could speak about that.
Yeah. So currently I actually declared, I think this is sophomore year, I declared the theology minor, which it ends up being 4 extra courses. So at Notre Dame, you're required to take 2 theology courses. That's just the bare minimum requirement. So first theo, which is intro. The second theo is broader. It's more specific in a different topic. So there's so many that they offer different each semester. But on top of that, if you declare a theo minor, then there's 4 extra courses that you take. And those are really just any electives in the theology department. And it's just something that it gets you out of the grind of, it gets you out of the math and all that work from engineering. It gets you into there's more reading. It's, something that actually I'd like to, it's something you want to learn, right? Coming to Notre Dame, a lot of students are interested in that. And it's something that, at least I wasn't necessarily exposed to too much in high school. I went to public school and I didn't have those theology courses. And it's just, I've taken some great courses and I'm ready to take more next year, senior year.
Great. Thank you both so much. So there was a question about study abroad. And I know for both of you that as juniors, you were in the prime of COVID during those opportunities. So I'll just say a few words about study abroad. Actually, so 60 to 65% of all engineering students do study abroad. And we have semester programs and we also have summer programs. Most students do summer programs, but there are semester-long programs for each of the different departments. This past year, I actually taught one of the courses abroad in Dublin, Ireland, and it was fantastic. So myself and one other faculty member traveled with a group of 40 students to Ireland, and students took 2 courses and allows them to sort of get ahead in some of the courses that they're taking. So those summer programs go on every year, and there's about 250 students that go every year. And then there's also semester programs in each of the different departments and summer programs. So certainly the College of Engineering makes it very easy for people to study abroad if you didn't live through COVID.
If it didn't get canceled.
If it didn't get canceled for you. So the other thing that I would love for you guys to talk about is any engineering organizations that you've been able to be involved with, if they've been design-based, or what you've enjoyed getting involved with.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. I mean, the major engineering organization I'm involved in is that I'm a student assistant for the first year engineering program with Dr. Meyers. And so what we do is we're basically teaching assistants, TAs for her and for the first year engineering courses. But the difference is that we are undergrad students. We've taken courses, and instead of offering office hours at obscure times, obscure places, we have office hours 3 days a week leading up to when homeworks are due for 4 hours. From here, I'm actually going to office hours from 9 to 11 tonight in the engineering building where they take their courses. And, whoever shows up, and I'm going to help teach them MATLAB and all those things. So it's something I really love. It's getting to interact with people and help them. And, while they learn, I learn a lot too. So it's a great experience.
Yeah, I'm also a student assistant, but I would say one thing that I've really enjoyed getting involved in that I've already touched on a little is my undergraduate research. And so I am in the Weber lab, which if you actually Google, there's a What Would You Fight For video on that. But it mainly focuses on diabetes therapies. And like I said, I had an internship in the pharmaceutical industry, and that's something that I've always been super interested in. And so my research just kind of directly focuses on finding different types of therapies using different polymers and different types of combinations of polymers and drugs to create kind of different therapies and looking at it from a different approach to a very serious disease that a lot of people struggle with. And so that's something super excited that I get to be involved in. There's actually a paper being published with my name on it soon, which is really exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so that's something that I've really enjoyed being involved in.
So even beyond what you've been able to get involved with, because there's a lot available. Can you plug one other engineering club that you think is a pretty cool organization?
Yeah, I've got some friends in the rocketry team, and I figure they went down to Alabama to launch a rocket, but over break they're working on they have their design reviews. They got all these papers they make, and it was something I should consider joining freshman year, but I didn't feel like I was equipped to do it. You come in and say, "What do I know about rockets?" Right, but the best thing to do is to get involved early, because you probably don't know anything about rockets, but you go in and you're going to learn. And even if you don't have to, you're not going to be the one designing the entire thing. There's people who've worked for 3 years in that club who are sort of the head designers, but they still need other people to help them out. And so I'd say it's one of the biggest regrets is not joining a team like that, like rocketry, design, build, fly, because it's a huge learning opportunity. There's great communities in them, and you learn a lot more than just the engineering too. There's a lot more just how to do a project, how to build something. There's a lot going on. So,
yeah, mine's very similar, but ChemiCar is an organization on campus where they build a car and they create either a battery, or I think this one is actually biofuel powered this year, which is really cool. But they design and build an engine and the car, and then they go to a competition and compete with other schools who have ChemiCar chapters. And so that's a really cool club, and I have a lot of friends in it. I do wish I joined it, but that's another really fun engineering organization.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the academics, the challenge, and how you manage that with the other things you're involved with? And
I guess I would start. For me, it's a common problem for students here is we want to be involved in everything. You want to do everything you can, and you want to do even more than you're able to do. So you take your courses, whether it's 4 or 5, 6 courses. Then also you get involved. So if you're in a club and then you're in another club, for me, I'm in club swim, I TA, or I'm a student assistant, and then I'm on top of all my courses. So the biggest challenge for me is actually balancing that time and then still finding time to hang out with my friends, to enjoy my life. And it's the constant problem of college. It's just is wanting to do as much as you can, but not going over. That's just what it is. But you love it and you do the things you love. So it's.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the work is easy, but I will say that you are never alone in figuring out a problem. I have a group of chemical engineering friends that we do every homework together. And that is not only allowed, but it's encouraged. In fact, I took a class last semester where the professor didn't even make us each turn it in. He just said we could turn in one paper for the 5 of us. And that's encouraged because professors want you to work together. They want you to collaborate and learn from each other. And that's one of my favorite parts of the engineering department is collaboration is highly encouraged. And even if a problem's really difficult, the odds that between your 5 or 4 brilliant minds you could figure it out are pretty high. And if you can't, you go to office hours and you ask, and the professor's more than willing to help you figure it out.
Have you guys ever felt like you needed to seek extra help for classes that you've taken in the past?
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, I'd say this brings me back to last semester. I took it's called an Introduction to Robotics. Pretty it was cross-listed undergraduate and graduate students. So you walked in, there's you introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Eddie. I'm a junior. Most people are seniors. And then there's probably about 10 graduate students. I'm like, this guy said he's 29. Like he's got a lot more education on me. So it was a big learning curve. It was hard work, but the biggest thing I got out of that course was that my professor was awesome about it. First day of class, she said, fill out this form, tell me when you're available for office hours. She scheduled office hours once a day for 5 days a week. And so it was an hour or 2 a day, and I did all of my homework in office hours with her help or with the TA's help. Obviously, I'm not sitting down with her, but you go to the classroom, you work on it. When you get stuck, they're right there to help you. So there's professors that offer things like that where it's great. And it's not a bad thing to reach out. I mean, me and my friends, we had a little group chat, 4 of us, and we went to office hours together. The 4 of us would do it in office hours together. So it's not a bad thing to reach out for help. And it's quite enjoyable once you do, because you realize that homework would have taken you 3 times as long if you did it all alone. So
I like hearing about that collaboration. So that's good. Can you comment on how you feel Notre Dame is special compared to other technical schools? Like what was unique and special, and what do you find was important to you?
Yeah, aside from the collaboration piece, which I think is huge, the fact that collaboration is encouraged so much, I also think the opportunity that we have to take classes outside of engineering, not only opportunity, we're forced to take classes outside of engineering, I think is really great. Like, I'm in ceramics right now, which is, I'm sorry to all of my chemical engineering classes, but it's my favorite class. It's so much fun. I just go there for 2 hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I play with clay, and it's so much fun, and it's so relaxing. And I think there's a lot of schools that wouldn't have the opportunity to take classes like that, as well as philosophy and theology. You kind of really get to expand your mind in different types of way that you don't in your engineering classes. And I think that opportunity is great.
The thing I would definitely add on to that is coming to college, when I applied to school, as I said, I do not want to go to an arts collegiate school. I want to go and just do engineering. I love math. I love science. I don't want to deal with English class anymore. I don't want to deal with history. I don't want to do that. I want to write. I don't want to read. And I came in and I took Introduction to Theology freshman fall. And I took it with a hard professor who's actually now, if you come here, you'll likely have him, best professor I've ever had. I've had some great mechanical engineering professors, but Father Kevin Grobe is the best professor I've ever had. And a lot of students will agree with that. They'll say his class is hard. It's tough, but it makes you work hard. And it's the most I've learned in a course, and I don't regret it. And now I've picked up a theology minor. It's the arts and letters courses you take here are worth your time. So
we have more questions about internships and research and the ability to do them after your freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I will say, from my experience in dealing with students, most students don't necessarily have an internship after their freshman year, although it does happen. We certainly have students that do get internships after their freshman year, but most of our students will study abroad or enjoy one more summer at home or maybe work a job. But we do have a percentage of students that certainly get internships after their first year, and it gets easier the further you are in your progression in that process. So
yeah.
I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that, but the question was also about being paid versus unpaid. And really, engineers don't really do unpaid work.
Both of my internships have been very well paid.
Yes.
I've not heard of anybody I know doing unpaid internship.
No.
But I guess they exist if you're asking about them. But I've never seen a student do that.
Yeah, I think that's atypical for the field.
Yes.
We don't normally see students doing something that's unpaid. And then there's a question about how to join a research lab. So maybe you want to comment on what your process was.
I forget what semester I decided to join, but I had the professor as a teacher, and he told me about his research, and I became super interested in it. So I sent him an email after class one day, and I just said, "Hi, my name's Adriana. I'm in your Intro to Chemical Engineering class. Do you have any spots available in your lab? If so, I would love to join." And he said, "Yes, definitely. Come meet me at my office tomorrow and we'll talk about it." And I talked to him and explained why I wanted to join the lab. And I did a little bit of research ahead of time. I knew what the lab was about and that type of thing. But then he let me join. And it usually is very similar, even if you don't have a personal relationship with the professor. You just research them. All of their work is published online. And so you just research what their lab is about and then send them an email. And if they have spots open, more likely than not, they'll let you in the lab.
Yeah.
And I guess I might add to that. I think they also, do they have a research fair sometimes? I want to say I
do.
got an email
In the
about
fall,
that.
There is a research fair.
And same idea as sort of a career fair, except instead of being outside employers, it's professors who want undergraduates for research. And you can go and, it's the impetus is then sort of, it's less on you, right? Adriana reached out and said, "Hey, I want to work with you." They all go to one place and say, "We need people to work for us." So there's that option too.
Yeah, no, definitely. Research opportunities are often cultivated through that same relationship that Adriana was just talking about, where you get to know a faculty member through class and inquire a bit, or research them online and find out more information about them. But there are also fairs that help connect students with faculty so that you can be doing this research. And research can be done either for credit to replace a class, or it can be done for pay. So both exist, and we have a large number of students that do research with faculty members. So we have a question here about, are there engineering projects that you're doing as undergraduates? So they're asking, is it just happen when you're a senior, or can you talk about a project that you have done in class before in your curriculum?
Yeah, I can start on that. So in mechanical engineering, you take two courses called Design Tools 1 and Design Tools 2, which basically it's your CAD. We do SolidWorks, and right now I'm in Design Tools 2. We're doing computer-aided manufacturing. So you're taking apart and you're basically showing the computer how to cut it out without you actually doing it. You just hit run and it'll cut it out for you. But in my Design Tools 1 course, we had it was basically a project sponsored by Radio Flyer. And the plan was they came in and said, "Hey, here's the brief. We're telling you we need this. We have two models for our Radio Flyer collapsible cart. One comes with canopy, so shaded by the sun. Everybody who bought the one without the canopy actually wants a canopy on it, but they don't want to buy the new one. So our goal was to design a canopy such that it's retrofittable onto that, so they could just sell it as an addition rather than buying another couple $100 cart. You buy the canopy to add onto yours. And so we were given groups. I was 3-4 people, and it was semester long. We designed it. We wrote big reports on it. We presented it to our professor, our class, and the Radio Flyer representatives, and it was a great experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll actually talk about the project that if you decide to come here, you would do first semester freshman year. And I think it's really cool because the first class that you come in is a design class, and you automatically jump right into how to design something as an engineer and what is the engineering design process. And you will learn all of that. But essentially the project right now, and the project changes occasionally, but right now the project is designing a valve and then designing it in SolidWorks and then 3D printing that valve. You have a group, you work together with multiple people to do this. And then the valve interfaces with a motor and it really works. And you have to then do a couple of experiments testing flow rate and water temperature and stuff using your valve, and you get to implement it in class. And it's really cool. And as a TA for the class, I didn't get to do the project myself, but as a TA for the class, I think that students really enjoyed doing it and you get to learn a lot in the process.
Yeah. Well, I certainly enjoy teaching that and leading that design project. So yes, great example. We have a question here. Do you have to be an aerospace engineer to join the rocket team? And I think absolutely not, but just verifying.
No, I can guarantee there's mechanical engineering students on there. There's also, I would bet my house on it that there's electrical engineers on it. I mean, anything you do that's pretty comprehensive is going to need more than just one place. They need aerospace engineers. They need mechanical students. They need EEs. And even if you're not any of those, I'm sure they take you if you're a hard worker, willing to learn, and they'll take freshmen. So it doesn't matter where you are, because as somebody who picks Chegg versus mechanical engineering does not have any more sort of insight on rockets. So they'll take a lot of different majors.
That's awesome. Great. Can you talk about your experiences in different courses that you've taken? Class taught by professors, TAs, sizes. Can we talk about what your experience has been like?
Yeah, definitely. I think currently, so as a junior, I don't think I have any classes over 40 students, and that is my big class. My smaller classes are like my elective classes that are about 13 to 20-ish students. And I have, going to the TA and professors' points, all of my professors are amazing. But I think all of my TAs are amazing too. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a TA, but they are super helpful. And all of my TAs that I've ever come encounter with only want to help. And they are very good at understanding what level you understand the material at, and then trying to explain it to you in ways that maybe if the professor didn't get through to you, they can. And so I've definitely had really good experiences with that. In my first year, I would say that maybe some of my classes were a little bit bigger because general chemistry, a lot of students have to take. And so those classes might be a little bit closer to 100-ish students, if I remember correctly. But still, all of those professors are very approachable. And I still went to office hours for all of those classes and was able to have a lot of one-on-one time with those professors and TAs. So the size of the class doesn't mean you won't get to have that one-on-one attention, but sometimes those first year classes are a little bit bigger.
And to add on to that, so I don't know if you're asking if it's TAs and professors teaching, but I've never had a TA teach my course. It's always been professors. The only time I've heard of those sort of happening is College of Science sometimes with your Calc 1s, your Calc 2s, your physics, that kind of thing. But sort of the end of class size, I know for mechanical engineers and aerospace engineers, we mix a lot for courses. And so it's also very rigid when you take courses. So it's all 160, say, of us are all going to be taking, dynamics in the same semester. So the class size depends on how many sections they break it into. So sometimes there's 3 or 4, sometimes there's 1. Last year we took dynamics and there's 1 section for us, but they picked that professor for a reason. It was Professor Seelinger, and he was they gave him the section. They gave him every student for a reason. It was a very challenging course, but it was also very, very, very well taught. And on top of that, in order to compensate for having so many students in the course, he had student help hours, sort of like what we do for the first years. And it was basically at night in engineering buildings. I think it was 3 nights of 3 or 4 hours each night. And there was just students there to help, and he was there to help. And it was just a very big collaborative space for us to work together. So even if you get a bigger class, which you might, they work well to compensate and help you out.
Great. Yeah, you will see some variation in class sizes, but a lot of them are pretty small. I'll say for the first year engineering classes, they're in groups of 40 to 48, so smaller class sizes. A question here about the work-life balance for engineering students. Wait, preface this, compared to other students in other majors.
Yeah, I have to say, I definitely think that it's comparable, if not like very, very similar. I live with my accounting major best friend, and her and I both go to bed at about 10:30 every night. And we both are able to hang out with our friends, and I'm on the club field hockey team, and I do a lot of stuff that isn't schoolwork. And I think really the work-life balance comes down to using your time wisely. And so during the week, I make sure to use every minute that I have. And I get lunch with my friends, but then immediately after class, I'll do my work until I get dinner with my friends. And then I'll do my work until I go to practice at night. And so I think it's just making sure I use those in-between times to get my work done so that that night or on the weekends, I can hang out with my friends or do other things like that. So the work-life balance is not that bad. And I think that it's definitely manageable in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, to add on to that too, it's like that. It's your choice, right? If you are able to and you're good at that, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily as good as Adriana. Adriana is just, she's a great student, and she works so hard. But I'm the kind of person that my work and life kind of come together. But that's not in a bad way. It's more like, when I do my homework, I'm sort of social because I'm best friends with some kids I do my work with. So ends up being, a little bit of a social hour sometimes, but it really comes down to it's what you want, right? To where you get involved, and if you push yourself, and if you take, if you try to overload a semester, you won't have a great work-life balance. That's the choice you make, right? So it's really just how you schedule yourself, how you structure it, and how you sort of organize yourself and go about it. So it's doable, it's possible. Compared to other majors, it's maybe you might have to work a little bit harder, or other colleges, you might have to work a little bit harder, you might not. It totally depends. You can't really. They're apples and oranges, I'd say. It's who you are, what you're studying, and what you actually try to involve yourself in. So
yeah,
it's a unique situation.
Perfect. There was a question about how similar the courses were for engineering majors in their first year.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty similar. Do you want to talk about some of the differences or similarities? Go ahead.
I'll go. For engineering majors, you're going to take those first 2 engineering courses. So one in one semester, on the other, you'll take 2 math courses, likely a calc and a calc and a linear algebra or something like that. You'll take your physics courses. You'll take a chem. The only time you really get out of that, or you get away from sort of the science, the engineering students, is in your sort of core courses. Otherwise, unless you're sort of a student with a bunch of AP credit, I fell in that. I took a statics course, which is basically the first course in mechanical engineering, and then I took thermo, which second semester, which it's just odds are you'll be together, and that's why I recommend going through that. I don't necessarily recommend trying to go right through it and get right into it, because I learned a lot freshman year, but it was way harder than it should have been for me. And I don't recommend trying to jump right into college that fast. Freshman year your first year is meant to be. It's designed the way it is for a reason. So yeah, odds are you'll be taking a lot of courses together, and they'll be the same.
Yeah, I think that my track was pretty much the same as every other engineer in terms of the courses that you just mentioned. I didn't take any different classes in my first year. I just took the normal curriculum, and I could have, at the end of my freshman year, essentially picked any engineering major at that point. And so it leaves open the opportunity for exploring, which is purposely built into that first year, exploring what the different engineering majors are. And then at the end, you're able to pick any of them, and you're not behind in any of those majors.
Yeah.
So the first year is very similar and basic for a reason.
So the follow-on was, is it easy to make a change within an engineering major? Yes, both of them have shifted from what they originally thought. And we want to allow you that flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what you want to do and want to continue down that path, that's great. But if you think that you might have another interest, we want students to be able to explore that and make the best decision possible, right? And feel confident going into their next year. Mm-hmm. And then how have your subsequent years, so now you've had beyond the freshman year, what has your experience been like in terms of classes and similarity to others within your major? How much?
I'd say for me, once you get to sophomore year, it is at least for mechanical and aerospace at the moment, it is you dive right into it. I think I had 6 AME listed courses in the fall of my sophomore year, so you dive right in, and that's just the way scheduling kind of ends up being. But with that, you sort of all of a sudden you're surrounded by the same people every day, all day, and you get to know everybody really well. So, besides that, there's some courses that you get to move around. So other people took Theos and Philos then, or took history courses then. So odds are you dive into it sophomore year, I'd say.
This is probably pretty unique to chemical engineering, but like I said, I'm doing the biomolecular concentration. And so there's kind of 2 routes you can take. You can either take more traditional chemical engineering classes or those bio-focused ones. And so there's kind of a split there of students who choose to take biotransport as opposed to regular transport one. And so you have a lot of choices within the chemical engineering curriculum. But at the end, your knowledge is all the same. So it's not like you're getting one sector is learning more or different than the other.
Okay, perfect. Well, we're down to time for just one last question, and I would ask for each of you to give your advice, right? You weren't sitting in their seats that long ago. For the students that are trying to make a decision about what they want to do, what advice do you want to give? Like, what's the message you want to leave them with?
You want to go first? Okay, I can go. So for me, I mean, I know there's a lot of students out there that are probably a little bit like me, where you're an engineer, you want to be an engineer, and sort of the traits you have are basically you want to be able to calculate everything and figure it out and make the right decision because you knew it was the right decision, but you're not going to know. And so for me, my advice is just trust your gut, take chances. And for me, coming out to campus was a great thing. And when people said, "Why'd you want to come to Notre Dame?" I just said it felt like the right place. Like I can't put my finger on I want to do this exact thing, but it just felt like the right place to. It's more than just I'm here for engineering. There's a great community. It's just everything I could have asked for. And when they say, "Did you make the right decisions?" It's a very obvious yes for me. And to me, it's just trust your gut and take chances because you're not going to be able to calculate everything and figure it all out.
Yeah, I would say that my biggest advice was I think I was trying to figure out what would be the most, like Eddie was kind of saying, optimal school for like this and all of the different things I wanted to do. And Notre Dame has all of those things. But I think the reason that you should come to Notre Dame and the thing I wish I understood is for the people, the professors and the people that you meet in the College of Engineering and all of your College of Engineering friends and your other friends outside of engineering. I think that's the reason that you should come to Notre Dame because there are people you will not meet anywhere else. And everybody is so willing to help and collaborate. And it's just an environment and a learning environment that I don't think you'll find anywhere else.
Thank you. That was excellent advice. I appreciate that. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate that. I'd really like you to encourage you to think about coming and joining us on campus. Spend a day here. There's an opportunity in both March and April. Come and see us. We'll show off the College of Engineering and you can hear about what these students were talking about. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.